What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is Ready to Love season 7, episode 3. So it's a ladies elimination week. So we start off the episode meeting down to the lounge, the ladies lounge, and Tommy says, "Listen, I want to challenge you guys to take your dates on something that that is personal to you or that means something to you. And I also want you to, I challenge you to open up and share something about yourself that normally you would not share until maybe a couple of dates down the road, right?" So immediately he's kind of pushing them out of their comfort zone and maybe sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not escalating. Yeah, escalating these things a little bit. So the first group that we have, it's a group date with Mercedes, Suanne, Blake, and Mark Anthony. And I wrote King Good date. I've seen this before now. They don't call them that up here. They call them bounce, something bounce. But it's the shoes that bounce. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. But I've seen a friend of mine, she goes on, she has a class on Saturday, and she always goes live at her class, and they were on, like, the local news and everything. But it's definitely a workout because she be sweating, and she like a size 0, and she be sweating, okay? But immediately, Blake was like, yeah, I ain't doing that. Like, yeah, nope, I ain't doing that. And then I guess he felt like he was going to be all man out because when Mark Anthony went along with it, I guess he was like, oh, well, I'm going to look like a real jerk if I don't, so I guess I better go ahead and do it. So, they had the class, and their instructor was not playing with them. Like, their instructor was like, I don't care, their cameras here, and this is for a TV show. Y'all gonna work out like y'all mean this thing. And so they had, like, a real workout. But then after the workout, Mark Anthony was talking to Mercedes, and Blake was talking to Suanne. Now, Mark Anthony and Mercedes, their conversation was cool. They were flirty. The conversation seemed to flow. And I really liked it. I really liked them together. I hope they don't disappoint me. I hope it don't turn into nothing crazy. But right now, they look real cute. It hasn't been but a couple of weeks. But, he's in school to be a pilot. She's a flight attendant. They, I guess, can talk about those kinds of things. And they were cute. Blake and Suanne, on the other hand, again, it just seemed like a hard conversation. And Suanne thought it was cute that he gave her this nickname and was like, yeah, so I'm going to give you this nickname because, you ain't really had my back out there. And, I mean, they were laughing about it, but he was like, so, yeah, so I'm going to give you this nickname. So when I call you by that name, that means, yo, let's go. And when he said it the first time, it came off very controlling to me. I was like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, it hit me kind of funny when he was like, yeah, that means, yeah, let's go. I ain't like that. I'm going to be real about it. But then later on, he turned it into something real cute. Like, yeah, so if we're in a situation, I use that nickname, that means, fake an injury or something so we can both get out of there. Now, when he said it like that, it was a little more cute. But at first, I was like, so when I call you by that name, that means let's go. Maybe it ain't hit y'all that way, but it hit me that way. But I ain't really crazy about Blake anyway, so there you go. Then we have Cynthia and Andre went painting, and she opened up to him about having a hard exterior and how in the past that's probably cost her some relationships because she wasn't willing to open up and let people to get to know the inside. And she kind of had like a whole moment. She was crying and all of that. And Andre was like, I really felt that she was opening up to me and she was allowing herself to be vulnerable to me. And so, that was really special. And, he was very kind in that moment, and he asked her, well, what is it that a man has to do, to let you know that he's, worthy of that trust, So that was cool. They seemed like they had a good date, and again, there's a connection there. But remember last week, Jeffrey felt like Andre was her man too. But Miss Jeffrey, I got my eye on you. We're gonna get to you in a minute. I got my eye on you, Miss Jeffrey, because last week it was Andre. This week it's Blake. We're gonna get there in a minute. Okay. Then we had a date between Fabrice and Corvea. Y'all could only have brought this man on the show for pure TV reasons. Y'all could not possibly have felt like this man was really seriously looking for love and that any of those women were a match for him. Okay. So he's with Corvea. Now, when he rolls up, Corvea is taking selfies. But hell, girl, who isn't these days? You got a nice background. You're out there. You waiting a few minutes. You take a couple of pictures. He walks up and she says, "Hey, I go bike riding, a couple of times a week. And I thought that would be a cool date because I know you like to bike ride. So I thought that'd be a cool date." Now, granted, they were not out there training for the Tour de France, but they were riding their bike. Fabrice is going to say, "Corvea is a beautiful woman, but she seems like the kind of person that's scared to get sweaty and worried about getting her hair messed up." Bruh, she literally told you that she does this 2 to 3 times a week. Literally. She just said, "I do this all the time." So either you didn't believe her, or you were just saying stuff just to be saying stuff. I'm going to go with the latter. You were just talking just to be talking. So then you and Corvea, of course, y'all stop riding the bike so y'all can have some sit-down time to have a conversation. And she starts talking about how, they must have been listening because he said how he had his business and then he sold it. And she said, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I asked for. I asked for, somebody who had their own company and sold it." And she was like, he said, "Oh really?" She said, "Yeah." She said, it's not about a monetary thing, but," and before she could finish her thought, he was like, "But it's okay. It is. And it's okay to say that." He said, "Listen, I know women like you. You don't have to worry about what you're saying to me. You don't have to say it no kind of way. It's okay to just be honest with me." And then he says, "My first love was from Puerto Rico. So, I understand you better than you think I do. I understand women like you." What that mean, women like you? And then he said, "Well, I don't feel like you opening up to me. Like it's okay for you to open up to me. I feel like you're not giving me your real you." So by this time, Corvea was like, "You know what? I'm done with this. Like, I have been open. You won't let me finish a thought. You won't let me finish a sentence. And then you're going to tell me who I am and what I think and how I think." Now, Corvea ain't she ain't one of my favorites. But I thought that was rude and condescending and dismissive of him. Like, I don't know, sir, because at first I was like, oh, he calling her on her own shit. Like, yes, you do. You do care about money. But then as it went on, I was like, okay, I can't applaud this because you just rude. Like, you just taking it too far. You just rude. So then we had, I'm sorry. That's how I felt about this episode. Then we had another group date, Morgan, Marcia, London, and Tony. Now, they went on a picnic. I don't know something about Tony I don't like, y'all. Tony rubbing me the wrong way. He giving me I don't know the vibes, but it ain't a good vibe. I can't put my finger on it, and I don't want to use a word like a serious word. But it's something about him that just don't sit right in my spirits. It's something right that just don't. It right here. It don't hit me right here right. It don't hit right here right. It's something about him that just don't. It don't hit me right. I don't like it. But him and Morgan, of course, they split off to have a conversation. And Morgan is going to say, well, before they split off, she said, well, one thing that, I normally would not necessarily share this early is, I've never been in love before. So that's what I'm going to say about that. For me to think, and some people like, well, is that a red flag? It's absolutely a red flag for me. But I guess it all comes down to what you think love is. Because remember, love is not a tangible thing. There is no one-stop shop for love. It's not like, okay, did you get that pair of black designer jeans from this specific store that they're selling at this specific price? Love is not tangible. So what I think love feels like may not be what you describe as love. So for her to say, I've never been in love, I kind of, that's something. And Tony said, hey, I need to probe that deeper because I need to understand what you mean by that, because love just isn't the same for everybody. So I don't know if, I would just be interested to find out what her idea of love is, what she thinks love is, and what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? But neither here nor there, child. It's a red flag that you think you ain't never been in love. At least as far as I'm concerned. She in her 40s. That's a long time to not have been in love. I mean, and she said, I've been in situations where I was willing to settle. Like, I was okay with being in, I was happy. But then to me, I'm like, well, that probably was love. Like, I don't know what she expects it to look like. But anyway, then we have Marcia and Lyndon. Lyndon tried to lean in for a kiss because he felt like Marcia gave him the green light because she told him to come out his shell and just be impulsive. And he was like, well, can I do something now? She was like, yeah. And he leaned in to give her a kiss. And she was like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. I thought you meant you wanted to tell me something. Like, oh, no, no, no. So then she going to say, I hope I didn't, I just got him to come out of his shell. I hope I didn't offend him. Like, I hope I didn't hurt his feelings. But I think he understood. I think he handled it well. I was like, that is rejection. There's no other way you could put that. He leaned in to give you a kiss and you leaned back and said no. There's no way to clean that up. But okay. And don't get me wrong. She had to kiss that man just because he wanted to kiss her. Like, your body. You don't have to kiss him. But I just thought it was funny the way it went down. Like, if you felt like it was too soon or you wasn't interested in kissing him, you have every right to be like, nope. So then we have Jeffrey and DeMario go on a horseback riding trip. And she said, that's important to her because, she grew up on the farm. And, when her parents got divorced, then she kind of moved away from the farm to the city. But doing things like this really mean a lot to her. And anybody basically need to understand that that's important to her. But what was funny was, DeMario was acting like, what? We about to ride a horse in the middle of Miami, what? But he was steering his horse better than her by the end of the day. And I'm thinking, girl, when was the last time you was on a horse? When was the last time you rode a horse? Because you are not doing a good job right now. Now, granted, animal is an animal and they're going to do what they're going to do. But girl, I'm just saying. Then we have Jonique and Lyndon. They went to the wine bar. And she opened up, she said that she tends to compare her dates. That's something that she tends to do. She tends to compare her dates. They had a conversation, and he talked about him being in nightlife and how that's kind of been a hindrance. He said, I'm not in the club. And he said, I spend most of my night in the office. But it's just the fact that I'm out late and I'm at a club. That's kind of been a problem. And she said, well, I'm okay with that. As long as, we have good time management, we can balance that out. I'm okay with that. She said, I'm not that kind of person that need to be up under my man or doesn't trust my man. If that's his job, I'll trust him. Oh, the other thing that Jeffrey and DeMario talked about, they talked about kids and him not having kids. And he was like, but I'm cool with the woman that does as long as, and I noticed that DeMario said as long as she can manage her finances. So I don't know if he felt like single mothers going to be looking at him to take care of them and pay their bills, but I don't know. That's kind of what I heard. Now, if y'all ain't here, y'all tell me I'm putting 10 or 20. But that is kind of what I had heard. Okay, that is what I had heard. Okay. So we get back to the lounge. The names that were at the top, the names that were at the bottom that came up was Blue. And, we didn't see Blue at all this episode. Like, where was Blue? Like, we didn't see him. And I'm sure he went on dates, but clearly whatever his date wasn't memorable enough for us to see none of it. Tony, Lyndon, Fabrice, and Blake. Now, of course, Fabrice came up because the women were really turned off by the sex conversation. And then once Corvea told them what happened on her date, it really was sort of a wrap. I was like, yeah, you going home, bro. Like, that's going to be that. Then Blake came up because Jeffrey said, well, Blake makes me feel a little uncomfortable because, he told me that he doesn't even want to go through with this process anymore. And he hates the fact that he has to lie to these other women because he's already made his decision and it's me. And then she says, and it almost makes me feel uncomfortable because I feel like I can't breathe in this process because he's very demanding and he's very possessive. Where you been? Who you been with? How was the date? What happened? Did you like him? Did you not like him? And I knew they were going to keep Blake because he's making for good TV and there's some conflict in there. But I'm also putting a pin in that. And again, I'm not discounting Jeffrey's feelings. But right now, we only have one side of the story. Now, Blake ends up telling us, he said that ain't true. Because when it's time for the elimination date, it's Fabrice and it's Blake. And Blake is like, that ain't true. I ain't tell Jeffrey that. Now, that don't mean he's telling the truth either, right? But it's definitely intriguing. And I can't wait to see how this plays out next week. Because, child, they kept Blake, child. Fabrice was the one they got rid of. Child, Fabrice said that we're just too stuck up. We're too tight, not stuck up like this, but like, we're too tight. We're not loose enough, and we don't open up to our own sexuality. He said, anybody that says sex isn't important in a relationship is a liar. Yeah, but you don't have to lead with it, and that doesn't have to be your only conversation. The problem is, sir, we know, out of all the things we know about you, 90% of what we know about you is about your sex life. And that's a problem. Ain't nobody saying sex ain't important in a relationship. We all too old to play that game. But that's generally not how people lead out when they're looking for substance. They're looking for love, and they're looking for long term, because sex is going to be sex. Like, sex is going to be sex. And it's okay to let somebody know, listen, I got a high sex drive and I need somebody that can hang with me. But that's something you throw out on the third, fourth date. And that's something you say once and you let it linger there until it becomes until it's an issue. Sir, you may not ever have to worry about having sex with me. So it's not a conversation we need to dwell on. Anyway, child, that was the episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.